These are some emails that I got through Open Records just a couple of days ago with a question related to Steve Ullum, one of the opponents in the District 3 school board race for JCPS. It took quite some time for me to get these records back, so I'm not exactly sure if there's something they are wanting to hide or why it took so much longer for me to get these, because I was able to get a similar request that had 1,000 pages in response in a much shorter period of time. But nonetheless, we're going to read these emails and see if you can help me figure out what is of interest. This first one is a thread that starts with Teresa White, who is Dr. Polio's assistant. It was sent on October 20th of 2020 at 11:45 in the morning to Joe Leffert, Kim Kent, copied to Jody Wilson and Denise Perry. And the subject was the name of a parent, I assume. Parent, please call. Oh no, the name of the school probably. Please call. Joe Kim, I took a call from parent Steve Ullum regarding so-and-so. He is very frustrated with NTI and stated something. He indicated that he is teaching her himself, making assignments and lesson plans, etc. His request is to receive a confirmation in writing, 2 bullet points, which we don't know what they say. He indicated he left a message with your office last Thursday and no one has called him back. Can either of you please contact him today? His number and his email address attached. He made it very clear that he does not wish to hear from the principal of the school any longer. Well, we know who the principal is. That's Brooke Schilling. And there are emails with involving Brooke as well. So the thread continues to say, Joe, at 12 o'clock, 15 minutes later on the same day, I have spoken with him multiple times. I will contact him. And Teresa says, thank you. October 20th at 12:43, about an hour later, he sends an email to Dr. Polio. Dr. Polio, I'm writing to inform you that as of last week, I told my something grade something that something, we don't know. School is about learning, not doing busy work. It's about being engaged in what you're doing with your teacher and your classmates. NTI offers none of that. We raise our kids teaching them to limit their screen time, and now we're shoving them in front of a screen for 6+ hours a day. We are telling our kids that their school board said it's unsafe for them to sit at a desk in a classroom, but it's okay to engage in full contact sports because our student athletes are more important than our students. We know that children in elementary school learn differently than high school students. We know that the children that young are not typically self-starters. They lack the computer proficiency skills that high schoolers often possess, and they require a more hands-on approach to learning. Yet NTI caters only to the weaknesses of children as young as elementary school. Somehow the decision was made that the same type of learning was appropriate for students of all ages when evidence clearly shows that is incorrect. Don't get me started on the irony with the inherent racist nature of the racial equity program that is now at the core of every decision schools make. We honestly have had to have a discussion on whether doing away with school uniforms was racially equitable, somehow implying that it may disproportionately impact somebody strictly based on their race, which is the very definition of racism. Combine that with the fact that you have so boldly declared your intent to dump most of the tax money into one area of town and into one community. A literal translation of all of this would be that students do not matter as much as student athletes, younger students do not matter as much as older students, and the school system is going to battle racism by focusing most of its efforts on one race and one community by making assumptions of advantages or disadvantages solely based on a person's race. In other words, you are going to discourage racism by being racist in your decision making. It's really sad that politics have infiltrated our school system to this extreme. Our students, especially our younger students, will be the ones that pay the price for our leaders patting themselves on the back on television. Oh, wow, there's more. Then a whole bunch blocked out right there. Don't know what they say. We are all expected to give an outpouring of support for our poor teachers who are suffering through all this, even though they would be teaching anyway if schools were open, and even though they are still getting paid to do their job. Everyone is expected to support our students through the difficulties of all this. No one cares about what the parents are doing. No one cares that I can't just quit my job and stay home all day, even though that's what's That's what succeeding at NTI with an elementary school student would require. We work at odd times, and it means I do nothing but work now. No fun. We wake up extra early in the morning. We work late at night. I have to take more hours off work, and then I stay up until late hours putting together lesson plans. I'm not getting paid to be a teacher. If anything, I'm working a second job for free, working less at my primary job and being threatened with a higher tax rate because of it. All this while the county is spending tens of millions of dollars on yard signs and masks that they are obviously not using. More stuff that's been blocked out. I would like written confirmation that something we don't know, if the school system is going to prioritize contact sports over sitting in a desk, and if the school system is incapable of putting together a learning program specifically suited for the strengths of an elementary school age student, then I have no choice but to step in and do what I have to do. His child's education will not suffer due to someone else's incompetence. No one else seems to have the answer, and I, under no circumstances, want to talk to her school principal. I don't like her attitude or her condescending tone. I would like the response to come from you. I already tried the assistant superintendent's office, but got no response. Please reply immediately, confirming the things I've asked you to confirm about her school record for this year. If needed, I'll provide her teacher with documentation of all the work we are doing on the subjects I mentioned in this email. Under the circumstances, though, and until our kids return to school, those are the only subjects I'm worried about at this time. And it has his reply footer. He's a realtor. I noticed that it's in here twice, and I just find that curious because this email was only sent once. There's no forward or RE, which sometimes happens with two footers when you've been forwarding your emails back and forth, and maybe you're getting some help writing your emails. That would be my suspicion. Then this next one, let's get it back up here. Sent on October 20th at 12:52, just 9 minutes later, from Joe Leffert to Teresa, saying, Mr. Ullum, I received a summary of your request below from Miss White, Dr. Polio's secretary. See information below I want you to have. I will follow up now with a call. His request is to receive a confirmation in writing that, and those same 2 bullet points, attendance is not being taken at any JCPS or school in the state. Students are not marked absent. However, participation is being documented. See the 4 bullet statements below which define ways to participate. What counts as participation? Per KDE, daily participation during NTI may be in real time during the school day or at times outside normal school hours and include at least one of the following: one-on-one video communication or phone calls between teacher and student, or teacher and parent with younger students or students with special needs, group video communication or phone calls between the teacher and a whole class or small groups of students within a class, student time logged into a learning management software system, completing assignments, submission of paper-based assignments. Grades will be based on child's participation, work completed, and evidence from the work she has mastered, the academic standard being measured. Joe Leffert. Let's see what else. And then Joe sent it to response to your request with something that's been blocked out. Don't know what it said. Team from Joe. I spoke with Mr. Ullum twice. We were able to resolve the something issues. The counselor and teacher will address the blank, etc. We did not reach resolution on an NTI, face-to-face school, and data to utilize. We agreed to intervene on what we can control and to keep the student at the center of all decisions. And he has Jody log the parent concern into the system. The next email goes back up here at the top. Now we're October 30th, 10 days later at 12:40 p.m. From Steve just to John Marshall, called REAP Protocol. For the last 4 years, I have always been one of the most active parents at my daughter's school. I am on the PTA board for the 2nd year. I am on the SBDM board. I am room parent every year, and I volunteer and participate in nearly every school function. There is rarely anything happening at my daughter's school that doesn't involve my active participation and support. My opinion on Jefferson County Public Schools has completely changed, and you really have lost 100% of my support. The way the school system has latched onto the political nonsense plaguing our country is just appalling. The notion that everything is now racist is absolutely absurd. Yes, racism exists. Yes, racism should not be tolerated. Yes, everyone should have equal rights to education, regardless of their race. No, we should not seek out racism. No, we should not attach race to a person or community. No, we should not racially profile people. I am not one of those people that is oblivious to the fact that racism exists. Of course it does, and it always will. Our society labels absolutely everyone, and all you have to do is turn on television to see that. The former candidate for governor of Georgia was not Stacey Abrams. It was a black female. It was black female Stacey Abrams. A mayor in southern Indiana did not run for president. A gay white mayor did. No one has a name anymore. They have a race, a gender, a sexual preference, a lifestyle choice, a religion, a national origin, or any number of other character traits other than their name. That is racism and discrimination right there. You all are now doing the exact same thing now. Now you are labeling people as black people and white people. People are not just people, and students are not just students. You are making race the central issue of focus on all decisions. It's just wrong. I'm not ignorant of the fact that racism exists in our society. There always will be racism because people will always judge other people based on their preconceived notions. The labeling of everyone will not help that go away anytime soon. The one thing I never noticed until now, though, was I never heard the superintendent say the things he was going to do for white communities, white students, or white teachers. It was just communities, students, and teachers in general. Now the tax money will help black communities. He is bragging about how many black teachers he has hired, and his focus is now on one particular area of town. How is that not driving a wedge between people based on race? As an SBDM board, we were honestly forced to have a discussion a few weeks ago about how our decision to do away with school uniforms in the shadow of this pandemic would be equitable to people of all races. We had to determine which race, if any, would be disproportionately affected by this decision. Essentially, what you are asking the SBDM to do is to profile people based on their race and determine, based on race alone, how each race will be impacted by that. First, I don't see how that is a race issue in the slightest. Second, the literal definition of racism is the belief that different races possess distinct characteristics, abilities, or qualities, especially so as to distinguish them as inferior or superior to one another. That is exactly what you are doing as an SBDM board by making these decisions based on your new system of decision making. You are literally asking these members to categorize people based on race and make decisions based on race. We seriously had to discuss a few ago, whether or not our mascot, a jaguar, was racially offensive. A jaguar! It's a damn animal. That's what I have had to take an hour out of my workday to discuss. So animals now have the potential of being racially offensive? We are telling our kids that race shouldn't matter, but none of those decisions or actions support that claim. Shh. I'm talking. I'm not going to teach so-and-so that someone is affected by abolishing school uniforms simply because that person is black, white, Asian, or any other race. I'm not going to teach her that race should be a factor in who is hired and who is not. I'm not going to teach her that one community is more important than another community simply because of the racial majority of that community. I'm not going to teach her that an animal mascot has the potential of being racist because it is a certain animal. I think the actions the board has taken, while they may have good intent in their nature, are directly contradictory to the intended message. Please stop barking. All you are doing is perpetuating racism by forcing people to consider race as the determining factor in decisions by applying racial stereotypes as the basis for these decisions. Where was I? I've lost all respect for JCPS. Okay, I'm going to have to do this later.